Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Detroit The Dark Reflection. In tonight's episode, we're going to Lord Christian Cobras of the Descending Angels. In his mind, there is an idea, an artifice, a construct that just lies beyond his horizon. He is enduring to bolster the defenses for this city, and maybe for reasons a little bit more closer to home. We're going to go to Christian now and gather his thoughts and see what he will make of the night for himself. Christian?
Well, for Christian's part, work has to be done first and foremost, which is mostly why he's dedicating the start of his day, or start of his night, excuse me, to constructing a few more of the aluminium rounds for the Gauss rifle. I believe that would be Dex crafts or intelligence crafts.
Dex crafts.
Okie dokes. All successes.
I'm going to say you have, and this is still a single shot.
Yeah, it's still a single shot weapon.
All right. I'm going to say with that, you have enough rounds for a nice little stockpile. I mean, not to say you can carry all of them on you, but you can leave some in your own haven for later.
Mm-hmm. That's perfectly fine. So yeah, when he's done with that, he's probably going to sit down and start thinking about that idea that he had, that train of thought, should I say. There's a certain thing which Christian, after having been told this by his sire, of course, that the members of Father Clan, that being House Tremere, or Clan Tremere, have, which the members of Asgoratrix generally don't have. It's a chantry. And seeing that Tremere that defected, Roland, and became not so much a very formal member of Asgoratrix, but a member of Asgoratrix in name, if only by the supernatural brand which they now possess over their forehead. He starts thinking. Well, he had, in his early days, he thought about the Tremere on occasion, mostly just because his sire said that it was bad news if any one of them ever saw him and, lived to tell the tale. Because, naturally, the Tremere don't... they claim that there are no Tremere anti-Tribu, and that's a perfectly fine claim to make. However, he then starts thinking about the possibilities. Every member of House Goratrix that he's ever met has always had their own way of doing the thaumaturgical arts. They've always had their own little quirks, as it were. They took a little bit from this path, or they took a little bit from that path. They took pieces and they melded their own style. Which is perfectly fine for an individual, but it also meant that the thaumaturgy of the Sword of Cain progressed at a much slower pace compared to that of their fellows on the other side of the fence. It also meant that certain projects, certain paths, certain rituals, certain ideas often were left by the wayside when, by accident or by design, certain thaumaturges in the Sabbat ceased their research. And then it was picked up by someone else, self-taught, often not to the extent that one should do when practicing such arts as the discipline of thaumaturgy, the discipline of blood magic, as it were, the most hegemonous form of blood magic in all of existence. So then Christian starts to think, if they were the House Guratrix of Detroit, which he knows number a lot greater than any other city that he's ever been in, if they can come together and create a chantry of sorts, where would it be? How would they protect it? And how would they ensure that it will not fall, whether by the enemy, should they ever dare to try and invade Detroit, or by the machinations of those who would rather see them fall? So the first person he's going to think mostly about how to ask about this would be his sire, Alexis Strom, whom, although they both share the same language, the same nationality, they're opposite sides of the same twisted coin. They're both deranged. They're both, well, I say they're both deranged. Christian is actually quite stable by comparison, but, you know, that's like comparing apples and oranges sometimes.
How will you contact your sire?
Christian will probably try to. He probably has his phone number, and he'll probably try and. Well, naturally, he'll try and give him a call, because I mean it's going to be the. It's probably going to be the most expected of ways that he could, get in contact with him. And he does know that probably is still in the Detroit area. By the way, I sent something to you over Facebook. That's his, because I just cannot look at the original overlay which Charles used without laughing.
Oh, is this the image for him?
Yeah, that's the image for him.
Oh, okay. Bring it up.
They're both Afrikaners, so he's probably not going to bother with English this time around. And keep in mind that I can't speak Afrikaans, so just assume that he is. So he just picks up his phone, starts looking through numbers, and starts giving his sire a call.
Okay. In a minute, after a couple of rings, your sire will pick up the phone. He'll say hello. Kind of unexpected that you called.
Hello, Father. This may be kind of a question right out of the blue, but how many members of our little house, our little fan club, as it were, of our blood, have ever resided in one city at one time? That you have ever been in, of course.
How many clowns we've had underneath the tent? Well, the greatest number I've ever seen was probably in Mexico City. Strong bastion of Sabbat might. I would say I've seen upwards of about 30 people at once. And, granted, that's who I could actually meet and greet with. There's always someone lurking inside a closet somewhere. Lord only knows what they're up to.
Yes, that is true. Though it would happen to interest you, Father, that there's been a recent conflagration of House Guratrix in Detroit as of late. It's not just myself by my lonesome. There's Well, there's this Dragomir fellow who seems like he just stepped out of a fucking Harry Potter movie. Though then again, in his own words, he accepts that he is not human. And he is, well, you should see him by your own two eyes, my brew. And furthermore, it seems that we have a bit of a defector to our side. This, yes, one who's really good at conjuring things out of nowhere, creates, little iron bars and little, well, he's admittedly by his own design, he is quite limited, but then again, he's quite young, and, well, his sire saw fit to erase quite a bit of his memories, so he's quite lacking in the rituals department, but I think with the proper application, the proper knowledge, as it were, that you and I could bestow upon him, we could restore those lost memories and find out just what exactly Father Clan has been up to as of late.
I remember once seeing a brood made of my own, an auntie of yours. She did the same kind of magic tricks. It was really funny watching her pull a rabbit out of someone else's ass.
I'd rather pull a knife out of someone's ass and then stick it in their back. But then again, not quite the same person that I was when I last beheld you, Father.
You do sound a little different, son. Had a crisis of conscience, or did your eyes...
No. Let's just say I saw the light. And the light was dark and dreary. And I saw no purpose for my own existence except to exist as not a simple, measly little fledgling, measly little practitioner of the dark arts of thaumaturgy, even though you taught me well never to touch those infernal magics, and I have not, I assure you, my sire. I found that my purpose in existence is to be the best that I can be, the best which our blood will allow us to be. We came into existence for a reason, you and I. You chose me for your own reasons, as I presume that I will choose my child for my own reasons. But I see something in myself which is destined for greatness. So therefore, it's my design, by my own design and by my own convictions, that I feel that I will tread towards this ideal, this voice I hear, and I will attain it. Nevertheless, however, I do feel that Detroit is ripe for us to create a little bastion of our own, a little centre of thaumaturgic magics.
Sounds like you've been hobnobbing with some of those schemers, but I can't blame you. And as for Detroit, that is one hell of a town. It's been a while since I've been there last. I'll tell you what. Why not? I'll come on through. You got a place set up?
I have my own little haven at the university where you saw me last. Though, as far as this actual chantry is concerned, I'm going to have to start scaring around. What kind of places did they have that you've seen in? Because, as I recall, it's rather difficult to conduct thaumaturgical research in the back of a trailer.
Yeah. Of course, if you need to be there for extended studies and research, but if you're cutting up a victim or something, that's a different story. But if you need your own workshop, Well, it kind of depends on what you're going for. You see, on the one hand, if you're talking about housing knowledge, housing books and equipment, well, it would help to have somewhere big, help to have somewhere that has electricity. Cameras are good for such things, and alarms and other things like that. However, the bigger you get, the more people you attract. Now, unless you plan to incorporate people into your network of comings and goings and test subjects and the sort, well, you'd be better off either buying out your own pad or breaking and entering and taking one over somewhere high up, somewhere like in a skyscraper. You ever notice that the baddest villains always live in a very tall apartment building? It's really
Yes,
simple.
I've seen those movies before. Though I think in this case, discretion is the better part of valor, at least for now.
Exactly. Now, imagine this, okay? You got yourself an apartment building, and you pick a place where rent's kind of cheap, but crime's kind of high. You're a K-Knight. You don't really have to worry about getting mugged. But your landlord there, now that's a guy who would like someone who pays their rent on time. No questions asked. And once you do that, well, if you got the funds, you buy out your neighbor next door, you buy out your neighbor downstairs. Landlord ain't gonna care. And of course, there are ways of making them not care. But for all of that, you could just buy a house. Or again, break into someone else's and take it over.
Hmm. How would a hospital sound?
Now, a hospital.
Or at least a basement.
Now, a hospital, that's a little tricky, but it is kind of worth it. I mean, you got a lot of the equipment that you don't have to buy. It'll come for free. However, you're going to have to basically either A, act like a ghost, some kind of Casper that comes and goes and things go missing and they blame it out on someone else, or you insinuate yourself as a member of the staff, a director of the board, someone that greases wheels, and yeah, no doctor's gonna bite the hand that feeds them. As for the basement, well, yeah, there's the morgue and the furnaces. I guess I would make a good room, especially if you're dabbling with the spirit types.
Yes, I've learnt some things from some unwanted guests that we had a few months ago. It's rather interesting how they work it, but I think I've got the basics down. I'll have to show it you when you come here. Another thing which this city could use is a true practitioner, true master of the path of Mars. My own knowledge of the path has been coming on quite adequately, though I admit I do not have the years and seniority to consider myself a true master of that particular path.
You'll get there one day. But, yeah, it's been kind of boring where I've been staying. I'll make it a point to drop on by. You're still at the same place I remember seeing you last?
Yes, but there's been a bit of a upheaval in the local hierarchy. The church where we last met has long since burned down. It's rather a long story. I'll tell you about it when you get over here. But to put it bluntly, it seems that one of the bishops caused a bit of a stir, and well, the Sabbat Inquisition chose to come to town, as if that wasn't the most expected of actions which they would take. But it's neither here nor there. They haven't really done too much in the way of ruffling everyone's feathers. After all, we are all on the register. They know exactly what we practice, and well, none of us have anything particular to hide from them.
Sounds like someone's got bit by one of their own schemes.
Yes, you don't have to worry. It wasn't one of our blood, and it wasn't any one of... Well, whilst I do think that Bishop Erin had her moments, had her strengths, her mind was not in the right place. Her heart was not in the right place.
That crazy bitch. Can't believe you sound surprised, kid.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it, when you're young, humane? You're not equipped to deal with the realities of betrayal, or well, at least betrayal for the all the right reasons, anyway.
That is a very true statement, son. But yeah, I'll get my things packed, and might take me a day or two, but you'll see me around.
I'll be sure to tell Dragomir and Rowland about your pending presence. And I'll be sure that they give you the proper respect that is due.
You know what? Don't tell them anything. Let's let them see how they think on their feet.
An excellent idea, my sire.
Well, I'll see you then, kid. If there's any sudden changes, just let me know.
I will.
And with that, your sire will hang up. And what do you do next?
Christian will put his phone down, switch it off naturally, because you know he's not going to be using it for the rest of the night. Well, at least he doesn't. At least he doesn't think he's going to be using it for the rest of the night. And then he's going to start. Well, now that he's got a general idea of what kind of place that he needs to think about, and given everything that his sire has already said, he's going to start to think. Well, he's going to try to remember what exactly happened to that insane asylum that they got the Malkavian Primogen from.
In Windsor, the ground floor was basically scorched earth. But the hospital above, I think it's still operable. But that
Has the
basement
whole place been written off, is what I was saying.
The basement was just burned out. The basement walls were burned out. The hospital proper are still intact.
Okay. And no one's been down there ever since.
Well, you could go find out.
That's true, unless common sense tells me otherwise.
Well, your common sense would at least lead you to. It's in Windsor. It's been Sabbat territory for months. So unless someone's really sneaky and just holed up down there, probably no one there.
Yeah, well, they do say that discretion is the better part of valor, so Christian is going to take his stun knife with him as he will go down just to check. He's going to take a look what it looks like on the outside. And I mean, it's been several months, so, and if they have an actual proper basement there, they're probably going to have to have fixed it up or refurbished it or anything like that. So basically, he's just going to take a look at the place, what it's like on the outside, and depending on what he sees, he'll decide what else is going on there.
Well, when you arrive in Windsor, you'll see that the hospital, at least, especially since you're technically leaving the States, seems like a normal operation. of the hospital. There's ambulances coming and going, people walking out, nurses taking a smoke break. Everything on the outside looks fine.
The hospital had a fence around it, keeping the patients in.
Yeah, naturally. It's a mental asylum.
Well,
Yeah.
I sometimes imagine you can see some of that from like the street level. I mean, depending on how big the yard is, but still fair enough.
Either way. Well, now that you've seen what it looks like on the outside, Christian's going to evoke Hermetic Sight. I just need to roll willpower. Oh yes, many successes.
Let's see.
Just activates it.
Right, so that's one that lets you see spirits.
Yeah.
Yes, they are spirits. But they're not particularly sentient. They're not ghosts. Ghosts are just little urge veins floating around.
What? Sorry.
This little what are the little rage spirits called? Yeah, the tiny ones, not the ones that piss off werewolves and make them frenzy.
Oh, those ones. I forget what they're
Yeah,
called,
those are
but I know what
floating
you're talking
around.
about. Just little ones of those.
Yeah, and if you get the mixed bag of rust spiders and things, basic tainted spirits. It's a crazy place, so it's tainted.
Hmm. In that case, Christian is going to try and find a quiet corner with one of these rust spiders. One of the smaller ones. Just want to deal with the big daddies just yet. Or at all, for that matter.
I'm gonna say, are you gonna try to get through the fence, or are you gonna stay on the
No,
opposite?
he's just basically going to try and go, like, basically circle the perimeter, see if you can't find one of these small rust spiders, or at least the smallest that you can find.
Um, just give me a perception investigation real quick.
Okay. One success.
Yeah, it takes you a few minutes walking the perimeter. You find one. Seems to be, how do I put this? It's molesting this public telephone.
Didn't know they still had those.
I would think they might, but maybe you're right.
I'm just saying, I've noticed that they've slowly started to disappear from public view,
They're
at
rare.
least here in the UK. Yeah.
They're a very, very rare sight these days, but they do exist.
Yeah, small places.
Yeah, yeah. But once he finds this particular rust spider, he's going to activate. God, what was it called again? I've got so many fucking paths. Astral Cant. That's it. Astral Cant. And that's perfectly fine.
Charles, can you take over the role of the spider? I'm not too familiar with them.
Okay.
Okay, but once that's activated, he's going to take out like a set of batteries from his pocket. Those like really big single A batteries. Like just place them on the. I mean, assuming that this place is a counter, you'll place them. I mean, depending on what the exact positioning of the spider.
It's half climbed up telephone. It's half climbed up the little telephone booth. It looks like it was, like harvesting rust from the booth itself.
In that case, he'll place the batteries on the ground, quite close to the telephone, quite close to the booth, as it were. He'll take a step back as he says, "I have a query for you, rust spider."
Humor intercepted. What is your query?
In that building over there, and he gestures to the mental asylum, there is a basement. Several months ago, the basement was burned out. I know. I want to know if the basement has been repaired and if it is still in operation.
I'm sorry, Jason, but somebody read a notepad by my window. What were you saying?
Basically, just Christian asked if the Rust Spider could go to the basement in the asylum and check to see if it is operational again. But obviously, a little bit more direct, and a little bit more, a very heavy Afrikaans accent, a very terrible Afrikaans accent added into it.
Provide battery acid as secondary to Rachel in return.
That can be arranged.
Spider's gonna climb up a telephone pole, go across the power lines, head into the asylum.
Given my level of sight, now this is just me out of character asking, because I think my character will probably already know how to make battery acid.
All you gotta do is, bust the top of a battery and let the acid drip out.
Okay, Christian's going to take the.
You could also, if I may suggest, you could also break into a car and rob their battery.
Yeah.
I imagine that Christian's probably got another spare battery in his pocket, which he could and I think he's got with his strength and his physical attributes by themselves. I imagine he probably would be able to smash open the spare battery just to get the acid out.
Okay.
Unless you want me to roll anything for it.
No, because let's realistically speak, if you want to take the long road with it, you could just grind the battery on the pavement until it cracks open. And so about 10 minutes down the road, you see the little rust spider. You actually hear him before you see him. A little squeaking sound as his legs are kind of glitching up as it tries to move. It looks like it's following the old spiritual spider web back down towards you. The laboratories are burned out and infested with banes.
What type of banes, Rust Spider?
Many types.
Did they object to your presence?
No.
Then you have earned your keep.
Someone was creating Fomori down there.
Have they? Have they made many Fomori?
A lot of Fomori were made there. The place is almost like a straight path to Malthus.
Thank you, Rust Spider. You have earned your keep. Enjoy.
So how are you providing the battery acid? Are you pouring it on the Rust Spider, or are you pouring it on the ground in front of him, or just giving him a cracked battery?
He's probably going to pour the battery acid. But what would common sense tell me? Or unless you want me to do an occult check.
Do a occult check.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It's probably best to actually let the thing enjoy its snack from the can, so to speak.
Okay. And he'll do just that.
You see the Rust Spider pick up the little cracked battery and begin rubbing the acid on itself.
With that, Christian will put his hands in his pockets and start to walk off. Because he thinks he's probably found the perfect place. Now it's just a matter of figuring out how to do it with the rest of Hasgartrix, which he's going to need to speak to the rest of them about as a group.
Okay, are you going to make contact with the...
Yeah, he'll like send text messages to Dragomir and Roland to make plans for the next night to meet up with him, because he wants to introduce them to someone who is quite influential in has been a quite influential inspiration for him in his life, and also to give them a proposition.
Okay. All right. They'll Roger the meeting, I guess. Whatever information you exchange with them, they'll eventually get back to you within the hour. You know, for whenever you want to set this meeting. Okay. You do that. Is there anything else you wanted to do?
That's about it off the top of my head at the moment.
Okay, fair enough. All right. So, Christian, you head back to your haven. You scouted out this place, and with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. This was Detroit: The Dark Reflection. Stay tuned, tune in again, and let's see where the story goes. Have a good night.